NC State's looking for some get back. Duke is looking for some get right. What's at stake Saturday in Durham?
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Our Thursday show is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can sign up today, bet just $5, and if that $5 bet wins, you'll get $300 back in bonus bets guaranteed. Download the app today or head over to FanDuel.com in order to get started. Happy Thursday to all. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. Kenton's still talking NC State and Duke ahead of Saturday's big-time matchup, 4 p.m. over in Durham. The last two meetings, Duke has beaten NC State, both in 2023 and in 2024. So NC State certainly has some get back to be seeking. As I mentioned on Wednesday's show, Duke has been the more physical team in each of the last two matchups, really exposing some weaknesses that NC State's had in both 23 and 24. So Kenton, I'll pose the question first for NC State. What's at stake on Saturday in Durham?
What's at stake Saturday in Durham is maintaining your momentum and continuing the start that you need to have a good season here. The reality is the back half of this schedule is loaded, even better than we could have imagined coming in. I want you to think about this, Grayson. Coming into the season, everybody said to themselves, you know what? The second half of the schedule is tough, but you've got a couple games in there where you're going to be favored, right? We looked at everything beyond Campbell and said, Notre Dame, you're probably going to be the underdog. Pitt, 50-50 shot whether or not you're the favorite or the underdog. Georgia Tech, 50-50 shot whether you're the favorite or the underdog. Miami, you're probably going to be the underdog. Florida State, you're probably going to be the favorite. North Carolina, you're definitely going to be the favorite, right? So now, I just gave you 6 games, and of those 6 games, I gave you about 2 where you were going to be definitive favorites. One of those games where you were going to be the definitive favorite is now number 7 in the nation. Not ideal. Not super great there. And then on top of that, you did kind of gain something with Virginia Tech and all that they're going through right now. People are talking about what's a serious chance of the Wolfpack being undefeated for what game. The reality is this. Obviously, go 1-0 every week. That's all you want to do. That's all you want to be every single week. But the reality is if you get over this Duke hurdle, you're going to face a Virginia Tech team without a head coach. And then you have Campbell. Duke will put you at 4-0. Virginia Tech, without a head coach, potentially puts you at 5-0. And then Campbell potentially puts you at 6-0. And some people are going to say, well, what's the difference between 5-1 versus 6-0? At that point, if you're 5-1, here's who your wins would be over. Your wins would be over East Carolina, a Virginia team who may not still have their head coach at that point. Wake Forest, who has a first-year head coach. And again, we're considering a loss to Duke here. A win over a team without a head coach and a win over an FCS team. Does that inspire belief? Does that inspire? And this is not to say that Duke is a spectacular team, a world-beating team, a world-beating top brand in football, because historically speaking, they are not. And this year, if they lose to NC State, they go to 1-3. So they would not be seen as a quality win. However, it's easier to swing undefeated than it is swing 5-1 when the only teams you beat are either group of 6, FCS, or they don't have a head coach, or they have a first-year head coach. It's much easier to swing that.
Extending upon that point, when you look at the win total for NC State this season in 25, it's 6.5. This game against Duke, this is a hinge game. Games like this one determine, are you going to break 6.5? Or are you going to fall short of 6.5 or push at just 6? This is the type of game that NC State has to have if you're going to break that 6.5. But not just that. There's so much more at stake here. You can go 2-0 in ACC play, which is a great mark to be, especially considering how tough the back half of your schedule is. You can pick up your second road win, which inspires a lot of confidence within that locker room. And, as I've already mentioned, you've not had success against Duke at all in the last 15 plus years. Did you know NC State has not won in Durham since 2008? 2008 was the last time. What, Kenton, do you know who the quarterback was in 2008?
Was that Russell Wilson?
Correct. It was Russell Wilson back in 2008, the last NC State quarterback to win in Durham. That's how long it's been. And to pour just a little bit more salt in our own wounds here, NC State is 1-4 in our last 5 games against Duke. This cannot stand any longer. We owe Duke something. And the crappy part is I said that last year, and we got embarrassed again on our senior night, no less. So NC State, there's a real opportunity to course correct here and reclaim what should be ours, the best team in the state. Because the last 2 years, it's been Duke. There needs to be a real energy and a real fire that takes place in Durham on Saturday. And we talked already this week on Tuesday about starting fast. It's going to matter in a matchup like this one. Because you also look across the other sideline at Duke, they're pissed off. They're 1-2. They lost 2 games they felt like they probably should have won against Illinois, then on the road at Tulane. Their win total was actually one of the most bet on win totals in the country at 6.5 because everybody thought they have a lot more talent than people believe in them. Well, they're 1-2 now. So this is a something's got to give type game for Duke. The urgency will absolutely be there for Manny Diaz and the Blue Devils. This feels like a car crash coming on Saturday. And the most physical team, which hopefully will be NC State, is going to win this game.
Yeah, and Duke has the exact opposite effect of our schedule. Their schedule was very much so front-loaded in terms of where you look at most of the toughest games, and they have a very tough schedule in general as well. When you go past NC State, the rest of the games on your schedule, you've got Syracuse, which even coming in the preseason was probably a push. So you got Cal, who you were likely going to be favored against. Georgia Tech, who it was either going to be a push or Georgia Tech favored. Clemson, who was obviously going to be favored. And then you close out the season with UConn, UVA, North Carolina, and Wake Forest. So they're finishing out the season with at least 5 games where they're going to be favored regardless of what happens in this game. But you know what's interesting about that? Duke is kind of reestablishing that program's culture. They're building a culture of pride to where 6 games ain't going to cut it. To where if they lose this game and they beat Syracuse, they beat Cal, lose at Georgia Tech or lose versus Georgia Tech and at Clemson, and then they go on that 4-game winning streak to close it out against UConn, UVA, North Carolina, and Wake Forest, that puts you at 7 wins, which would be their lowest since, I believe, Cutcliffe's last year. I'm just saying, I don't think that this is a situation where Duke would be happy with that outcome. So this is obviously a game that a lot hinges on it. And again, local recruiting battles. 2 coaches are on the sideline for a young man. Who do you think that young man is more likely to go with? The coach that can say, hey, last time me and that guy met up, I beat him. And guess what? I'm bringing back my quarterback and almost all of our pass catchers. What about it? Yeah, we're bringing back a ton. Make sure. So if you want to get whooped on again, you go on over there. You go on over there and get with those guys that's going to get whooped on. But we're over here build something special. This means a lot.
What's interesting about that as well, the last couple of recruiting battles that have come down ultimately between NC State and Duke, I believe NC State has won those despite Duke winning on the field. If you drop 3 in a row to Duke, that may no longer be the case moving forward. So a lot of implications there. And then last point, and I want to just reintroduce something Kenton has already said. When you're looking at the talks about NC State starting off 6-0, this was the game that was projected almost universally across NC State fans to be a loss. If you turn this one into a win, then again, you do look at Virginia Tech, which right now is a rudderless ship. With all due respect, that should be what feels like a free space. And then Campbell, respectfully, should also be a free space. So this is the game. If you're going to start 6-0, this is the game you have got to find a way to win. And if the Wolfpack needed any more motivation, the home crowd will probably be blaring red on Saturday. So if you are on the fence about making this trip to Durham, may I implore you, go. The tickets are cheap and they are plentiful. NC State's going to need your help because this is a must-win game on Saturday in Durham. Coming up next, we're going to get into the details of Kenton's keys against Duke. This comes after a quick word from our sponsors. Our first Thursday sponsor is DoorDash. It's almost time for the weekend, so it's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving you more every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered the most. Let's break it down. For the Wolfpack, CJ Bailey delivered in a big way out in Winston-Salem. He had 201 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and led the Wolfpack to a second-half comeback victory on the road. This came with no hesitation, no delay, and if you've been paying any attention to CJ, you know this performance was no fluke. Just like CJ delivered for the Wolfpack, DoorDash can deliver for your Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you save every single Saturday that you order, and you can stack it up all season long, saving you up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday and keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply, and the promo period lasts from right now to November the 18th. Our second Thursday sponsor is FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. If that $5 bet wins, you'll get $300 back in bonus bets to use across the app. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, it's easy, it's simply the best way to add a little bit more energy to your Sundays. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com in order to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place that first $5 bet, and if it wins, $300 back in bonus bets guaranteed. Head on over to FanDuel.com today in order to get started. Middle portion of our Thursday show. Now time to get into Kenton's keys for the Duke Blue Devils. Here we go.
By the way, before we get into the actual keys here, I've got an additional key for the fans. I want to see a 2-to-1 ratio of red to blue in Wallace Wade. I want to see 2-to-1. I cannot be there because I'll be traveling for work. Yes, I know I love the Wolfpack as much as anybody. Unfortunately, this economy is tough, all right? We're not even going to get into that. Just know I do other things outside of this. I'll be traveling for work, so I will not be available to be at that game. But I want to see it. When I watch that game on TV, when I'm in the air flying back to Raleigh watching that game, I want to see what looks like a red sea in Wallace Wade. That's what I want to see going through there. And now let's get into the offensive keys. Number 1, give me a start. Give me a fast start. Don't give me no more of this slow prodding nonsense out the gates. And this is not to say that historically and this is not to say that this season we've been bad coming out of the gates, because if you look at most of our games, if you look at ECU, right? What did we do out of the gates against ECU? Punched them right in the mouth. You look at the UVA game. What did we do in the UVA game? It was back and forth, toe-to-toe, blow for blow to start that game off. You look at the Wake Forest game, we got down 14 points, but we still did our thing and did a good job in that game overall of coming back. But we let them get off to a fast start and jump on us. In this game, you need to – a Duke team that's already down, I'm sorry, forget what your parents said. Football is a violent sport. Kick them while they're down. Don't let them get up and get some confidence and start thinking, okay, yeah, we are still a team that won 9 games back-to-back season. Don't let them start thinking that. Immediately start kicking them. Average 4 points per drive through your first 3.
Our second offensive key?
Second, Bailey. Come on, brother. CJ Bailey. Come on, brother. Let me tell you something. You owe them one. You owe this defense one. You know, James Brown had a song called The Big Payback. I want the Bailey payback in this one, okay? I want to see you get down with your bad self in this game. I need to see you finish with a QBR 75. And I know some of y'all are going to say, Ken, that's extremely high. That is a very high QBR to be going against this team. But I want to inform you of the QBR of the other 2 quarterbacks who did not play for Elon that played against this team. Luke Altmaier had an 81.4, and Jake Retzlaff, Grayson, I'm going to let you guess. What do you think Jake Retzlaff's QBR was?
Including his running stats, which were pretty gaudy, I'm going to say it was like 85.
94.7.
My.
94.7. So this ain't with all due respect, The two quarterbacks that have played this defense, the defense that was supposed to light the world on fire and be Manny Diaz's where he hangs his hat, they're averaging above an 85 QBR. You have to, I'm not even asking you to do what's average against this defense in terms of quarterback play. I'm asking you just to do what you do. Be the best you, and I think that this game is going to work out well.
And need I remind y'all, CJ Bailey is averaging an 84.5 QBR through his first 3 games. So that should be within reach. In our third and final offensive key,
establish the run. Let me tell you something. This is a game where if you let Duke get you in those third and long situations, is that not how they beat us last year, Grayson?
It sure is.
Run up the middle, screen pass, and now we're looking at 3rd and 9. Run up the middle, screen pass, and now we're run up the middle, quarterback draw, and now we're looking at 3rd and 11. And now Manny Diaz in that master of disguise bit, he can pull it off. You can't pull that off on 2nd and 1. You can't pull it off on 3rd and 1, 3rd and inches, 3rd and 2. You can't pull it off because if you try that, you're exposing your defense to some very serious holes left open in the running game. So establish the run and then have some fun offense. If we want to see an RTA masterclass, we have to see a masterclass in rushing and running the football.
As the team, NC State is averaging 4.6 yards per carry. Hollywood's averaging 6 by himself. CJ is averaging 4, and Duke Scott averaging 3.5. So averaging 5+, it's going to be a massive key for this game. Like we already said, if you can run to set up the pass, that puts you in such a better position than you were just a year ago. And all 3 of these keys also, they connect to the idea of staying ahead of the sticks. Kenton just told you last year it was always 3rd and 9, 3rd and 11. What are we doing? Throwing a screen pass. It's not going to cut it. It didn't cut it last year. It ain't going to cut it this year. If you stay ahead of the sticks all night, you will give yourself a good chance against a Duke defense that has not looked great so far through 3 games. So that's what we have on the offense. Now switching gears to defense and special teams.
No return to sender. Folks, do not, I repeat, do not allow this team to get a return that puts them past the 50-yard line. In both games against Power 4 opponents, Grayson, in both games, we have allowed this. Against UVA, it led to a touchdown, I believe. Against Wake Forest, the opening kickoff scores a touchdown. All in all, we talk about Elliott's defenses not being as effective as we would want them to be, but you know what hurts you even more? When an ineffective defense has to protect the short field, or when they don't even get on the field and we're down 7 points. The kickoff coverage and punt coverage has to improve. That is not it should, it'd be nice. It has to improve, or else you're going to be in big trouble in this one.
Our second defense and special teams key.
Play a complete game. Okay. It's possible. I know you can do it. I know that it's possible. And with that being said, I want to see this Duke team held to 20 points. Here's why 20 is important to me. If you look at Duke and what they've been all season, they have not been an offense that consistently puts up points. They have not been an offense that every single half they're going to put up points consistently. For example, I'm going to give you a prime example. In the Elon game, in the first half, they only put up 10 points, right? In the Illinois game, in the second half, they only put up 6 points. In the Tulane game, in the first half, they only put up 9 points. So that is 3 separate halves of football where they have put up 10 or less points. I don't think it's unreasonable to say, you know what, we can make them string together 2 of those. I don't think it's unreasonable at all to say that. And the biggest key to that is get off the field on 3rd down, which the difference in yards per play from the first half to the second half in most of these games, not that big. Not that big normally. The difference is normally just getting your tail off the field on 3rd down.
And our third and final defense and special teams key.
The last key is make Mensa make mistakes. The 4 M's. Hey, listen, Raleigh and Durham share an airport. They call it the RDU area, as if these are not two distinct metropolitan areas and whatnot. Let me tell you something. We're going to share a lot. Make that offense share the ball with you. Hey, come on. Sharing is caring, right? I know I said we're going to kick them while they down and we not practicing those. But Barney always taught us sharing is caring. And Mensa's going to make a throw or two where it feels like he wants to share it with you. Or one of those receivers or one of those backs is going to put it on the ground that makes it feel like they want to share the ball with you. So it's forced 2 turnovers, not just from Darian Mensa, but from anybody on this offense, because they have a propensity to turn that thing over if you let them.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at turnovers as an umbrella concept in this game. NC State has done a pretty good job of not turning the ball over this season, and that's led to them having ample opportunity to win these football games, even despite having a halftime deficit or having to come back in the third quarter. When you don't turn the ball over, you give yourself the best possible chance you can to win that game. Duke, on the other side of things, 5 turnovers against Illinois, and because of that, they get blown out in the second half. Also on the road at Tulane, Mensa threw another pick in that one, and I believe they lost by a touchdown? These turnovers in games like this one, it will make the difference. And you look at last year's game, we had the safety in our own end zone, and I think CJ Bailey threw at least 1 pick, if not 2. That was the difference in the football game. You have to make Darian Mensa make mistakes in this game, whether it's by air or making them put the ball on the ground. Possibly the most important way that NC State can win this football game. You have to make them turn the ball over to you.
You absolutely have to make this team turn over the ball to you. And here's a very interesting fact that some people may not know about this football game. The reality of this situation is clear. Duke has one thing that NC State does not. In every single game so far this season, every single one of them, Darian Mensa has had at least 1 turnover. Interception against Elon, the interception against Illinois as well, and an interception against Tulane. You have to. He will put the ball in danger. He will do it. You have to be there to capitalize when it happens. And if we're playing everybody about 5 yards off and immediately acting as if we got to bail, guess what? You're not going to put yourself in position to capitalize when that mistake throw is made.
Those are the keys for this weekend's game against Duke. Coming up next, we're getting into our final thoughts and our score predictions. This comes after a quick word from our sponsors. And our third Thursday sponsor is Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than just simply move. From footwork to breathwork, athletes will sweat out all the details. Mazda brings this very same approach into how they craft each and every model. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from the smooth handling to the intuitive controls. With standard all-wheel drive in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like the players, Mazda sweats out every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Last couple minutes of our Thursday show. Now time to get into our final thoughts and our final score predictions ahead of this Duke game. As you see now here on the screen, NC State is a 3.5-point underdog on the road to the Duke Blue Devils. Now, of course, we know that you get 3 points for being the home team. So ultimately, Vegas sees this game as what is a toss-up. The money line value for NC State is plus 126. Again, that's pretty close to a coin flip. Duke at home is minus 152. The over-under sits at 59.5. Kenton, are you surprised at all that Duke is the team favored by 3.5 points?
Duke has had NC State's number, and the way that we talk about NC State and the way that we talk about Duke have been exact opposites, right? We've talked every week about, hey, NC State is skating by. We're outside of the dominance of the second half against Wake Forest. We have, by and large, just gotten by. Every single game. We had 3 games so far, 2 of them one-possession games, which really were one-play games, if we're being quite honest. Both games came right down to the wire, and you had to win it on the last second of the game, as opposed to Duke, who, by and large, has played better than what their record would indicate. They've just had these fundamental breakdowns on very important things in very crucial moments where you can't have them. Against Illinois, ball protection was abysmal. Against Tulane, the tackling was abysmal. So it's people talk about Duke as if, hey, if they had NC State schedule, they'd be undefeated. If NC State had Duke schedule, they'd be 1-2. I mean, hey, if ifs were fists, Grayson and I would be sitting here drunk, but we're stone cold sober while we're talking to you now, because the reality that we live in is the reality that we live in. This ain't Peacemaker. We can't step into an alternate dimension where all of a sudden life looks a little different for us. So I'm not surprised by Duke being a favorite. And this is easy bulletin board material for Doran. We're undefeated. We found ways to win, and yet they have us behind a team that is 1-2 and has consistently found ways to lose. Interesting.
Yeah, you said it perfectly. I think this game, there should be a ton of urgency on both sides. I already told you that Duke is 1-2. Probably very upset about that because I do believe they are a better team than a 1-2 record. And for NC State, like Kenton just said, Duke has had our number. So we owe them something because we've gotten embarrassed both in 23 and in 24. Just purely out physical, did not look like NC State in either one of those games. And Duke became what was the premier football program for 2 years within the state of North Carolina. So there's a lot at stake for both teams. I do think the right team is favored. I think the over-under is maybe a smidgen high. I'm expecting more defense in this game, which might come as a shock because we've been talking about NC State's defense kind of in the opposite light. So Kenton, give me your final thoughts and your score prediction for this 4 p.m. kickoff on Saturday.
The last quarterback from NC State who beat Duke wore the number 16. And the next quarterback to beat Duke will be a guy who wore the number 16, because that's the number that CJ Bailey had last year. And I expect him to be very Russell Wilson-esque in this game. I expect him to be a guy that extends plays and makes great things happen in this game, because I believe that Duke's offense, although I said that this is the game that I believe they'll get it together all offseason, that's what I had the feeling of. The more I watch that team, the more I'm like, I think they're just at their ceiling. I think this is just who they are. I think that what we have seen from them over these 3 games, I mean, with all due respect, I will give Illinois the respect of you're a very good defense. I will give Tulane the respect of you're a good defense. But the halves that they put up against those teams, unacceptable. I have a feeling that this is their very bad, no good year. And NC State is going to take advantage in this game. Very similar score to last game, because I do believe that we'll get out to a fast start, but the second half, they'll make as furious of a comeback as they can, but they will fall short. And I'm going to take the under here as well, Grayson. I agree that I think this will be a defensive game, but more importantly than anything, I think the second half is going to have some people nervous for a bad beat, because I think there will be lots of points scored in the second half. And I'm going to say NC State staves off a Duke comeback attempt, 31-21 in Wallace Wade on Saturday.
We've talked about some get back. We've talked about some get right. I do think Duke is better than a 1-2 team, and I'm concerned about the urgency that they're going to come into this game with. They know that their season kind of hangs in the balance with a game like this one. If they lose their 3rd consecutive game, and it's against NC State, so you open the ACC schedule at 0-1. Where does your season look up from there, considering you still have the likes of Clemson on your schedule, Georgia Tech on your schedule? That's a tough road to hoe. Now, on the NC State side of things, we've not played well in Durham. We've already said that we've not won over there since 2008, which is kind of hard to fathom there. The NC State offense has been cooking. CJ Bailey has gotten off to a blistering hot start. Hollywood Smothers off to a blistering hot start. Our pass catchers have been impressive. Justin Jolie got in the end zone twice in Winston-Salem. Everything seems to be clicking at the right time for the offense, but I don't know about the NC State defense in this one. We spoke on Thursday evening after that game that seemingly we can only get 1 half of formidable defense. Can we get 2 halves in this game? Until I see it, I just don't know. Unfortunately, I picked this as a loss in the preseason, and I hate to do it, but I'm going to stick with it here. I have Duke in a close one. I'm also going with the under. I have 30-27. Duke gets us. It's a really good game. It's going to be a physical game. Probably takes us all the way down to the edge. It might be a walk-off field goal for Duke, but I have 30-27. Duke gets us, and NC State will move back to 3-1. Now, I do have some picks. I didn't come empty-handed in this game because Hollywood somehow did not score on the road against Wake Forest. He's going to get in the end zone here. We already told you that Duke's run defense has been a little suspect. Hollywood's going to get into the end zone. I have an anytime touchdown for him. The total points scored for NC State in the first half is set at 13.5. I think we're going to clear that number. I think we will score at least 14 points, whether that's by 2 touchdowns or maybe 2 touchdowns and a field goal having 17. I think we're going to score more than 13.5 in the first half. And I do have NC State covering the spread. So like I said, I have Duke winning by a field goal. So you would cover that spread by just a half point. If you put these 3 together in a parlay, that's plus 206. Again, disclaimer, tail at your own risk. Don't come after me if this fails, because last week failed. Thankfully, y'all got the message. Bet at your own risk. I'm just doing this for fun, but this is how I see this thing going.
Yeah, I agree that NC State covers the 3.5. I agree with the first half over. The only thing that I worry about is the Hollywood Smothers anytime touchdown for this reason and this reason only. If Duke is establishing himself as the power back of the bunch, and we see another game where Hollywood does that thing that he does, where he gets right up to the end zone, he gets close, he gets inside the 10, he just doesn't punch it in himself, I wouldn't be super shocked about that. That's the one that I would be most concerned about out of this team.
It's funny because I've looked at Duke to score the last couple weeks and it has not happened. So my luck here would be Hollywood doesn't and Duke does. But that'll do it for us here on our Thursday show. As always, be sure to hit that like button, drop your comments in the comment box, mash that subscribe button if you have not already. Let us know your thoughts on what's at stake for NC State in Durham on Saturday. Any thoughts you have on Kenton's keys for the Duke Blue Devils. And finally, give us your score predictions as well. Who might get in the end zone, who won't get in the end zone. Maybe if you're going to tail me or not. Just let me know. I'm curious. That will do it for us here on Thursday. We'll see y'all tomorrow on Friday. Again, that will be our crossover show with JJ Jackson of Locked On Blue Devils. Always a great time with JJ. So be on the lookout for that for Friday's show. So until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.